Welcome to The Escape with Nick and Adam. My name is Nick.
And I'm Adam.
And we welcome back friend of the show, Jay. Welcome back, Jay.
Hi, thanks guys for having me.
Thanks for coming along, Jay.
Yeah, so we got a lot of toy news coming out. We got the Eternia playset finally gets a pre-order and a price. Ninja Turtles Last Ronin figures are, I think, this close to being released. Very psyched about that. And a lot of this is coinciding with, I believe, the New York City Comic Con stuff. So a lot of news kind of coming out to fuel that. Plus, we're going to talk about the latest Wakanda Forever trailer. We're going to talk a little bit of Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, and whatever else we're going to talk about. Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about Netflix's Dahmer series. But let's get to the most important news of the day, and that would be the Eternia playset has a release time frame and a price. Let's get into it. Adam, what do you think?
Someone help me understand crowdfunding a little bit better. The price, I'm not surprised. It's about $150 more expensive than say Castle Grayskull was, I think, in 2013. But I think that's for inflation. I mean, the thing's heavy. It's huge. It's going to be the biggest place. Well, in history, it is one of, with the exception of that G.I. Joe aircraft carrier back in, the flag. This is a relaunch. This is a remake, crowdfunded, of the last playset from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toy line from 1982 to 1987. And what happened is that the toy line was dying, but some of these did end up getting made and shipped for retail, and some of them were bought. That's a working monorail that you guys see right there. It has features. I don't know if you want to enhance some of the pictures, Nick, but it has features of where it looks like there's like a pond here, and there's old power swords or old axes down in the water. You can see the actual power of Grayskull right there in that orb behind King Grayskull. That is the actual orb of power. But when the line tanked in '87, they only made so many of these. So to find one in its entirety has always been a Masters of the Universe like fans like all time life.
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail. Yeah. Quest to Mecca, Holy Grail. And even to find one in one piece, and not buy it piece by piece is even difficult. So this is like exciting for people who I never owned it. And I didn't even know it existed until I met a friend of mine named Dallas when I was a kid. He owned one. I'm like, what is this? And it came with everything you see here. Except it didn't come with a King Grayskull at the time. King Grayskull had not been invented yet. So you've got the Grayskull Tower, you got the Snake Mountain Tower, and then you got the center Eternos Tower, or however they call it, Eternia Tower. And it's just amazing. If you look at the face, that's not just some tiger's face. That's the original artwork for Cringer. And then you open up its mouth and all of that kind of stuff. It's the entry port. It's just fucking awesome. It's $550, and I'm going to take a pass on it because I want to go to Salem, Massachusetts in 2023.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Geek's Dad Life I saw it on the stream this morning. I was like, is this from last night? I'm like, oh no, they are streaming about it this morning. That's how I found out. I'm like, oh boy, kind of big news. So we got to talk about it. But I mean, let's talk about the biggest issue with, something this size. You're not talking about shelf space here. You are talking about floor space because that's not fitting on a shelf.
Right. I got one of those 6-foot like lunch tables in my living room. Jay knows that for Castle Grayskull itself, because Castle Grayskull is anyway, this would take up that whole thing anyhow. Not just and leave. Yeah, it's huge.
That's something you almost would have to set up like a train table for. You set yourself up a big plywood table, so you got your custom setup going on. You probably could have Snake Mountain on one side, Grayskull on the other, and that in the middle.
Yeah, it's definitely a hobby room centerpiece, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Big
You slap this baby right down in the middle of the room, and like you said, Jay, the side where Grayskull Tower is, right in that corner of the room would be your Castle Grayskull, and then the side where Snake Mountain Tower is there would be your Snake Mountain. Yeah. Oh, look at the inside of that thing. It's crazy. It's
All right,
crazy.
so let's look at. So it's got a release date of March 29, 2024. It is 3 foot by 4 foot for epic display. Working battle
Wow.
tram, elevators, trapdoors, and more. King Grayskull has 16 points articulation. All right, so Adam, we were talking before the show how the breakdowns and everything works out. So at 5,000 backers, you get the Master Universe Origins Eternia playset and epic display. Early backer bonus: when the Eternia
Okay.
playset is funded, all orders receive between 1012 and 1019 will receive the King Grayskull figure, a key to the mystery of Eternia. This iconic playset is the ultimate tribute to the everlasting battle between good and evil. Blah blah
Click.
blah. Learn.
Sorry.
What's that?
Nothing.
Go ahead.
Could you please click on that key to the Everlast? Sorry, I wanted to see pictures. Stop operating and show me pictures. I'm shutting up. Please continue.
That was about it. So, because the item is so large and heavy, a surcharge of $550 will apply to U.S. orders, and a surcharge will apply to international orders. So, once again, listening to Geek Dad Life before, this morning, I think they said between, $550, the shipping, taxes, and all that, you're going to be closer out of pocket to right around $700 for this once it's all set.
It's not cheap at all. If it were the 90s, it'd be a used car. Fucking
About 10 years ago, yeah.
I don't know, fellas. There's just some things that I don't know. I have to buy a house for it. I don't know. It's gorgeous, but alas, I must say no.
Yeah, I think honestly, and I think the price point of 550 is pretty fair.
It is. It really
is.
is.
It's the top.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
the
big
top.
piece.
I mean, as far as crowdfunding stuff, it's what I would call the top of the market, but it's a top end piece. Like I said, it's a. I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching Great British Baking Show. It's the showstopper right there. That's the hey nerds. Oh, you're a nerd too. Come look at this ridiculous thing I've got in my room, in my hobby room.
God, yeah.
But at 700, still that is a hefty chunk of change. So
and it's hard to justify. So
yeah, for sure.
But all right, all of that said and done. Wow, just one big wow.
Yep. So, Jay,
It's cool.
Well, I say where are you at on this? Is this?
Oh no, it's cool. No, I definitely say yay. That's one it's one of those ones that like you said, it's so big. You've got to have you gotta have a whole room dedicated.
You got to have the real estate, and that's kind of one of the issues with a lot of these crowdfunded things. They're just so gigantic that you have to have the either the shelf real estate for, or in this case, you literally need a table or some place. They were talking on Geek That Life. It's probably going to go on the ground. I was like, you ain't putting a $600 toy on the ground. If you do, you're stupid.
No. Yeah.
If you got pets or little kids or something, that's not going to last long. So no, you have to. You almost need till 2024 to figure out where you're going to put it and build something to put it on.
Let me answer Geek Dad Life. I watch Geek Dad Life. These guys, I like those guys.
Yeah.
The box to Castle Grayskull, and I believe the box to Snake Mountain, because Super 7 did Snake Mountain to the 7-inch scale or 6-inch scale. When you were a kid and you opened that gift up, there was another kid on the box playing with it. When you open this one up, the crowdfunded one, it's a grown 40-some-year-old man playing with this shit.
Yep.
It's the same guy.
And he doesn't have his son with him. That's the fun. That's the joke of the picture. So that's what I'm saying. You're not going to put that on the floor. What 40-year-old man's getting down on his knee? On his bum knee. Come on.
I say I've got a bum knee. That's the thing. I was like, no, I'd rather build something to put it on to display it instead of having okay, So I was working on the figures this morning. My cat dove into. I have a box full of toy boxes. He dove into the box of boxes and was like playing. I'm like, can you imagine if like Adam, you got cats? Can you imagine if one of your cats wrecked a section of this thing? No more cats. I don't know.
But
when it does happen, they do like to chew on stuff.
I say you got a puppy, you got, cats are just jerks in general. I've got two, trust me. But you get a puppy, he wrecks a piece. Holy moly. Yeah, that's $700 down the drain.
I'm trying to show. So no, I know that. Wow, $700 down the drain. Now we can fit stuff and order replacement parts. Replacement parts. There's always foam and a hot knife, bro.
Depends on how long they gnawed on it.
I might spend another $700 just to get another to get a gas display to put it in.
Oh God, no! I don't know a display case that's gonna fit that thing.
I don't know.
God, you'd have to build yourself a custom one.
Have to get two of those jewelry things and put them back to back and put it in there. That's about
you could probably build yourself a Hellbat safe for that much to put that thing in.
Hellbat safe. Yeah, no shit.
So, yeah, I know, Adam. That was one of the things that you were excited about because Adam's our resident He-Man expert. But right now, it's got to be a pass right now.
Only for reasons. I mean, yeah.
Only money. No big deal.
Trust me. If this was October of 2021, it'd be paid for. I got other things going on right now.
If it were early next year and everybody's getting their tax money, yeah, that might be a little bit different. But
so we got 2 years to figure out where we're going to put it. So we can figure out all the logistics.
You got a year and a half.
I should not say I'm out already. If it gets funded and it gets backed, can I still buy the damn thing like in January?
What's the I hate how these, because everyone's a little bit different between Hasbro and Mattel. They're just very vague. At 5,000 backers, you get the Master Universe thing, and then early backer bonus, you get the King Grayskull. Nothing beyond that.
Okay, but to read the language, it says early backer bonus. That means I'm an early backer if I show up in before November, and then I get my King Grayskull and all that stuff early. Sure. But if it gets backed also by November, which that's what they need, that's what it sounds like, I jump on in December. Maybe I don't get my King Grayskull and my early backer bonus, but I still get everything else that comes with it, right?
All right. Yeah. So it looks like it's being all right. So I did the crazy thing. I scrolled down more. This Masters of the Universe Eternia playset will only be made for backers who join before November 9th. So you have till November 9th. To get your money.
But I mean, are you paying what they're asking for that $700, or how much are you actually paying it back?
You're paying $600, really. But then you get your money back. They don't. I read the fine print on that earlier. They don't even charge you if it doesn't get backed.
Yeah, it says, when will I be charged? No worries, you will actually be charged. You won't be charged unless the campaign reaches a minimum of 5,000 backers by November 9th. This pre-order will show as pending on your credit card statement until that date. When the campaign succeeds, your payment will then be processed. If it doesn't succeed, your pre-order will be canceled and the pending charge will disappear. So, yeah, you've got till November 9th.
November 9th. Cough up 700. No, not today.
We got a Florida trip coming. Can't do it.
Yep, can't do it. Got to be fun in the sun. Besides, there's a lot of other cooler shit that's coming out there. So,
yeah, very excited. So finally for me, I've been waiting. I pre-ordered my damn last Ronin figures. It feels like forever ago, but finally getting some news from. I saw it on two places. So on NECA put out a video that I might as well try and pull it up. That. So they didn't say when, and that's always the tricky thing with the NECA. They're like, yeah, this toy's coming out. We're not gonna, say when.
Right.
But yeah, it's coming, which is the most I've heard from them. So And then I also, sorry, go ahead.
But they are coming out with the Ronin toys. Was that? Didn't I send you something earlier today that actually had the? Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah, this is and we stole it and put it up on our Instagram. So it's Turtle Tuesday. We're excited that the last run figures show up in stores and on doorsteps. From da. So,
If you wouldn't mind, Nick, could you tell the folks at home a little bit about what the last Ronin is?
all right. So, Last Ronin is essentially, well, I'll just read this real quick because it's got from the 2020 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic series, Last Ronin, in a future New York City far different than the one we know today. A lone surviving turtle goes on a seemingly hopeless mission to obtain justice for his fallen family and friends. So, through this 5-part miniseries, basically all the turtles, Leo, Donnie, Raph, Master Splinter, all get murdered. The last Ronin is Mikey, and he is on a mission of vengeance to take down. Was it the great grandson of Shredder? And it's a fantastic series, and they've got two main figures coming out right there. You see, so there's the hooded one, and then there's the one without the armor, and golly, those are they're freaking awesome figures. I cannot wait for those things because I am going to buy every single one I see, even if I own it already.
It's almost like
talking about fiscal responsibility here on this show. We are not.
I might dive into Last Ronin.
Have you read it, Jay?
What's that?
Have you read it?
No, I haven't read it. No, I would like to.
Nick, lend it to me. I'm going to read it as soon as I can.
It is the most highly rated thing I can, recommend this year. I've been recommending since the last issue came out earlier this year. It's freaking awesome. They've come out. I mean, you can get the comics now, but they've actually come out with a hardcover, that's got all the issues in it. It's like $25 at Barnes and Noble or whatever. But I cannot recommend this enough. The only thing I'm recommending more right now is the latest Batman Chip Zdarsky run. I love what they're doing. It's a lot of fun. But the last Ronin, that's no joke. I cried a little bit at the end. it was not saying it was maybe just because it was one of those things. I was in the right mood. I was excited, and I put headphones in and listened to scores from the Batman score. So I was listening. I was totally in my little own world, and I was it was so good.
I'd say that's the beauty of the Ninja Turtles, man. You get all kinds of emotions from them. They're great watching it. I can't imagine the comics because, I mean, the movies and the TV show were always awesome. I mean, especially when they did in, I think, the mid 2000s TMNT. That one was wicked. I love that one.
God, yeah.
Yeah, the first one I still haven't seen. I saw is it Out of the Shadows second one. Freaking loved it, but it is the comics. Or at least this one for sure is not. It's way grittier. It's way darker. It's got this scene where throughout, and not to give away too much, but throughout the books, it's still Mikey. It starts off with Mikey. Mikey's on his own. Everybody's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's literally haunted by the ghost of his brothers, where they're kind of helping him, but there's times where he gets kind of that survivor's guilt. And there's a real one, such a powerful scene and panel in, I think it's issue 2. And, he's literally he's essentially arguing with himself, but, he's, they're like, you should be doing more. And he's like, I know I should be doing, it's just I was like, ugh. It was such a brutal panel, but I was like, oh, that's that's so good.
Yeah.
But one of the other places that I saw the news on, is it Ben Bishop? Is he the artist? But I know it's Bish Art is his hashtag or his handle. Yeah, Ben Bishop. He did the art for it, and he is releasing. I think he's doing. You can pre-order the whole wave through him. Plus, you get some extra goodies. I don't know the price yet. So Bish Art. So, never would have imagined drawing. So Wave 1 will consist of 6 figures to release as they become available. Customers who opt for the exclusive signed print For all 6 figures, will receive a free bonus poster print with their final 6 figure. And we're doing the same thing for wave 2, so buckle up. So there's waves coming. And remember, Adam, we had the what toys do we really want to see? And I said I want to see like a deep dive into this world of the last Ronin
You got
stuff.
it, buddy.
And yeah, it's coming, and I'm super psyched for it. So yeah. Plus Jay, the art, like that's, I don't know if how well you can see on there, but that's the art for it. The art is freaking excellent.
Yeah, it looks like it's awesome.
It is excellent art, because I've started reading like some of the other like turtle comics. Not gonna lie, not as good, but the last Roman stuff is top notch art, top notch writing, and it's I've got one graded comic, and it's this one, and that's issue number 1, first run. So, so if that puts it in any perspective for you. But yeah, there's lots of goodies, and I've seen on some Instagrams, some of the bigger toy pages, like they're starting to, the figures are starting to leak out, and I'm so excited for it. So I can't wait to get my hands on these figures.
God, they're awesome.
They're freaking.
They are wicked looking.
They're so freaking wicked. Like, and Jay, I gush about how good it is, but the art and everything. Like, there's one scene where, like in the first issue, where he's basically getting ready to commit suicide. And he's got pair of nunchucks. He's got a side, and he's got one of Leo's swords, but it's busted, like broken. And I'm just like, oh, it's so good.
And yeah, I got to read it now.
Isn't there like a fan made video for the ending we could show?
Oh, hell yeah, we can.
Watch this. This is like the last scene of the book, right, Nick?
No, this is the scene I was just telling you about. And it's in
so it's not the end.
It's not at all the end. It's the first issue.
I don't want to think of, hopefully.
So, here. I'm not sharing that. Hold on. La, la, la. There we go. This is from Speedo Kagan, but he's doing a completely non-for-profit.
Need to end it.
But this is they're just making it. It's freaking, and it's gorgeous.
For my family. For honor.
But yeah, so this is almost panel for panel taken out of the first issue, and it's just gorgeous. So might pause it here and there just copyright it. So this is the scene right here where he just got done doing battle and he failed, and he's basically getting ready to commit. And you can, I don't know if you can hear, but he's arguing with himself, but he's arguing with his his
we
brother.
can hear.
So
Hold on.
But this is the scene I was talking about. So
We were always so different.
Damn.
So much alike.
and his bandana's black. He doesn't go orange through it.
I miss my brothers. So much. And
Yeah, his book from Shredder, or Master's
I
book.
miss my father. More than anything else, I wanted to make him proud.
And one of the things is like the mutation; they keep getting bigger and stronger, and like their mutant abilities just keep getting more and more enhanced. That's why he's so.
But they're all gone now.
That's freaking gorgeous. It's awesome.
the end. Too little, too late. Story of my life. I'm sorry, Father. I failed. Please forgive me.
That's crazy.
It's gorgeous. So we'll let it go there for right now. So that hopefully we can avoid a little bit of a copyright strike there. But
Thank you.
no, it's that's I freaking yeah. Anytime anybody wants to talk about Last Ronin, I'm here for it. But yeah, that thing's already got 2 million views, and yeah, this guy's doing everything for nonprofit. So he actually released super highly detailed images of posters that he made that you can just download. You have to print them out, send them out to the printer for yourself, but you can get a really awesome poster for them. I downloaded my, I haven't got the posters made, but yeah, that project's really cool. And now IDW, who put out the Last Ronin series, they're going to do an extended dive into that universe. So we'll see how it goes because they've got Casey Jones' daughter. You have April O'Neil, who's still alive, but she's messed up. She's got like mechanical arm and leg and stuff. Like she was in an explosion and like so much going on in that series. It's freaking love it. So.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Looks great, man. I can't wait for those figures for you.
God, give me something else. I gotta go read now.
Oh yeah, no, that is required reading from. Like I said, I can't recommend that series more. So, all right, Adam, you and I had a little bit different opinion as to Wakanda Forever. The last trailer came out, and we had our first look at Black Panther. What did you like of the trailer?
I like the idea of two nations going to war with each other in this movie. The Atlanteans, or whatever they're going to call them, just weird because they do have the right to call them Atlanteans. Anyways, Disney, Marvel, DC, whatever. Okay, so you got the actions, you got all the bells and whistles. It looks like they take it serious. It doesn't look like Thor Ragnarok or Batman Forever or Batman and Robin and Thor Love and Thunder. It doesn't look like those movies. So, thank God. But what I don't like is there isn't a Black Panther to fight this Namor. Which makes me think, or makes me come to this conclusion, that perhaps the good guys lose in this. The so-called Wakanda, like maybe no one's right or wrong in the end. Maybe that's what they're going for because they're soft Disney. But maybe from this perspective, Wakanda Forever, maybe they start to fall. A Black Panther has to rise, and in the second one, we see this Namor get the shit kicked out of him by not T'Challa.
Yeah, I would say there. It looks like I'm pretty sure there's a Black Panther in there. It's just not T'Challa. So
it's Shuri.
Well, I would say that everything points to it being Shuri, but there's no 100% confirmation. But everybody thinks it's Shuri. Yeah, like I said, you're more excited about. I am right now. It's a pass for me, except if for the show, I'll go watch it for the show. But I just honestly, the first Black Panther, I thought it was okay. I never understood like how it was a cultural phenomenon. Like I get the time and place, and it's kind of one of those perfect storm things. But then watching it a few months later, I'm like, it was all right, not great, not the best thing ever. Now you're telling me I have a Black Panther sequel coming out without a T'Challa.
Well, it's called Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, say no. Namor, who's not really Namor, and now you're introducing also Ray Williams as Ironheart. I'm just like,
so I'm confused on the whole Namor is not Namor. Is this like the Mandarin wasn't the Mandarin in Iron Man 3?
I say, as far as I know, it's he doesn't look like Namor. He's not from
Mr. Nimbus.
Atlantis. Yeah, Nimbus. I would say, to me, it's. I mean, he's it's like, okay, well, Jay, you're Adam. Well, and Adam, you're Jay. Well, you're just each other in name only at this point, and that's kind of where we're at with the Namor. It's technically Namor, but it's as far as backstory goes, it's Namor in character name only.
Okay.
I don't know. They didn't. So one thing I kind of like now I seen the second trailers. I like that they put the wings on his feet. At
Right.
least we do know it's Namor. I mean, that's definitely a Namor thing.
Right.
I kind of agree. I mean, like I said, I've been saying it from the beginning. I think he looks like friggin' Mr. Nimbus from Rick and Morty.
Right.
When you look at him, like the bust, head down, it's like, okay, that's not Namor that anyone recognizes. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I think if they make up for it with story and content, it looks like they're going in the right direction with, like the memorial to T'Challa. I think if they make, his story good, where, how he died and everything, if they make that good, I think that movie will probably do well. I mean, because,
I got a little info here. I just found out where Mr. Namor is from. Mr. Namor is from Talokan, T-A-L-O-Can, a fictional underwater nation that will serve as his home country instead of Atlantis. Interestingly, Talokan doesn't have any natural ties to a location in Marvel Comics, so to the original source material, although it does connect back to ancient history. This is from our dimension here, from the real world's Aztec and Mayan legends. So they're connecting Talokan, which is what Marvel pretty much is kind of known for doing, like back in the 60s and stuff. They try to pull things from even Atlantis was technically like this real life legend. So, I mean, they're updating the mythos. I don't know why they feel, okay. So I'd be like, well, I don't know why they feel the need to connect it, to rename it. Why can't it just be Atlantis? Or is Atlantis, I don't know, perhaps too European?
Well,
I'm not sure.
My understanding was much more because, well, DC's already laid claim to Atlantis, so they're basically, well, we'll call them something else. So I found this from Screen Rant, who is Kukulkan, Namor connection deity. Explain. Namor is called the Feather Serpent God in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, connecting the Marvel Cinematic Universe anti-hero to the deity Kukulkan. The Phase 4 movie introduces Namor and his race of underwater people to the MCU. What was that? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It was just a quick little lightning bolt. That's why the guy in the trailer, the big bad Wakanda goes, he's well, Kukulkan, or whatever he says. He does a big thing.
Oh, M'Baku.
Yeah, M'Baku.
Yeah, so the Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer confirms another big change for Namor in what is believed to have connection to a powerful deity. M'Baku notes that the people of Talokan do not refer to Namor as a general or king, but instead call him the same name as the feathered serpent god. So Kukulkan is the name of the serpent deity in several Mesoamerican religions. The feathered serpent god was worshipped by the Yucatec Maya people from 1500, but it's also had many names besides Kukulkan in other Mesoamerican cultures. So they're leaning more into the Mesoamerican religion aspect of it. So a little bit different departure from the comics. So
why couldn't we just make that story that Namor sees the Black Pantherless country of Wakanda and decides to try and take it over for the glory of Atlantis? I mean, honestly, what's wrong with that kind of story? It'd be cool.
That sounds like I don't know what they're going to war for, but the two nations are going to war, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, did you just outline that, Nick? And I didn't hear it.
It's the the plot of the movie is kind of pretty vague. as far as what's actually happening. But yeah, I mean, isn't that always been part of the thing? Is like between Atlantis and Wakanda, they're not friends. They've always kind of gone one way or the other. They've always been kind of political or geographic rivals. So
I suppose so. Maybe so. I'm not the Marvel guy.
well, that's part of it. I'm not a big in like I've never read a Namor comic. It's just, but you always just being in comics, who the big characters are. Namor's always been one of the bigger characters because
he is one of the.
He's Aquaman is DC's water guy. Namor is Marvel's water guy. And it's just you always know who are the polar opposites in which universe are. And
he's one of the strongest Marvel characters they've ever created too.
Yeah.
On his trading card, he had straight 7s, which 7 is the highest you can get in every category.
Yeah. So what they've done with them as far as the comics, that's kind of part of the issue too, because hey, with Samuel Jackson, hey, they made the character black, which cool, that's fine for the comics, and then you can tell they're like, shit, let's do this, and so now they're eventually gonna have to change them for the comics, and I haven't seen them doing anything changing them for the comics recently as of yet, so we'll see. But also, I hate to do this because I can't find the quote, but the actor, Adam, we were talking about this last time. Why can't they get the actors under control? Why can't they tell them to stop saying things?
I don't know. I don't know. It's Disney. This should be pretty easy.
Because this freaking actor has basically came out and is quoted as saying, "Oh, well, typically the Latin guys are usually the villains, and they're not going to be the villain in this one. We're going to be the hero." It's like, for fuck's sakes, dude! Like, shut up. And it just drives me crazy when like this is not why you're here. This is not why you're here. You're not here to fix racism. You're just here to play an Atlantean guy.
Listen,
put on your scuba trunks and freaking just say the lines.
When daggers are pointed at innocent hearts and muskets are ready to fire, and when tyrants strike high and governed with fear and the forces of evil conspire, then from out of the night a hero must rise with courage that even a mask won't disguise. They turn to a man called Zorro. What's larger than life and a friend to all? He's the man who the people proclaim.
I say Zorro's. I love Zorro. Yeah, well, and it was never. See, that's where I get frustrated because I never went, "Oh, look, a Mexican hero." I was like, "No, he's a badass dude with a sword."
Me too. I was like, "Fuck!" my mind was blown.
I don't understand where like, hey, let's all just focus on this. I was like, no, he was a great character. I loved Zorro. I love the old black and white TV show. I even like the Antonio Banderas movie. That was pretty
okay. We watched that not that long ago.
Yeah, I was like, it's got Anthony Hopkins, which, okay, super white, but he's a great actor. But you also had Antonio Banderas, who could not be a cooler guy.
You know what's crazy about that movie? Antonio Banderas plays the original Zorro, right? The Zorro that the stories are all written about. Not Antonio Banderas. Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins. Antonio Banderas plays a real guy that they changed the lore to say became Zorro. Right. That's a real guy in history. The Antonio Banderas character.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't really become Zorro, everybody. I'm just saying.
He's also not a guitar player who took on the cartel either, but
right.
All
right. 2 movies.
Yeah, in 2. Yeah. Okay. One was way better than the other. The first Desperado was amazing. I still love that movie, and not just because it introduced the word to Salma Hayek, but that's a big key part as well. Anyway, so all right. One of the things my wife and I finished watching this past weekend was the Dahmer docudrama series on Netflix, and holy moly, like this is why. Well, this is why honestly I started watching documentaries instead of like relying on movies for historical accuracy. And Jay, you're in law enforcement, and I know you probably watch certain things, and certain times you just have to like shake your head, be like, "That's not how it works at all." It's like, or it's just, but I was just sitting there watching. I was like, "Holy moly! Like you can't do that. You can't say some of these things." And one of the biggest issues going through this entire 10-part series, which mind you, it is did not need to be 10 episodes. It went on far too long, was the ineptness and incompetency of the Milwaukee Police Department, and basically the racism and just the ineptness that basically let this go on for 13 years or however many years. I think it was 13 victims, but like X amount of years. Um, but the real intriguing thing about Dahmer, because I think Dahmer was the first time in my lifetime where there was this serial killer to this magnitude where you're like, holy moly, like, the details started creeping out as a kid, be like, well, that's a new thing that I had never even conceptualized in my life as being, just like new fear unlocked, and just realizing that this guy living in this apartment building was doing all these things. But so one of the things, and Jay, I don't know how you feel about stuff like this, but I was like basically like making these anti-heroes out of such terrible people where it's like, if you met half the people I had to deal with, like they would not be a hero on anybody's list.
Oh no.
It's got to be just like, you're propping up this guy, and it's like, no, you clearly have not, how it is when you're like, you hear about what people have done, and then you actually see what they've done. Like, I don't know if you remember the Ray Rice incident a few years ago, where there was this domestic incident with him and his girlfriend or wife at the time, and everybody's like, oh well, yeah, that's terrible. And then video came out, and everybody goes like, oh my god, get that man out of the league now, and never played another down. And I think it's just when they make series like this, and I just go like, they're trying to portray him like he's just kind of a weird guy. I'd be like, no, even in the show, I'm like, it doesn't even scratch the surface of what this man had done.
Oh God, no, I couldn't imagine walking into that scene there. Holy God, man. I mean, you got a head in the fridge, and
head in the fridge, a 55-gallon drum in the closet.
Oh yeah, acid. So the smell alone, you know what dead bodies smell like immediately. It's like, okay, this is. Well, actually, it's funny. The first thing that would have threw me for a loop, and like I would have questioned absolutely everything is about. What's he doing living in that neighborhood?
Well, and that's actually one of the real interesting things, because anytime something like this comes up, I immediately start looking up the articles, the history versus, movie. And one of I forget the lady's name, but she wrote like one of the books on it. And also one of the main portrayals of the character, I think you said you saw the first episode, right?
Yeah.
So they have the neighbor who is basically saying, oh, I smelled this, I smelled that. And the woman who wrote the books be like, it's not like you were saying, it's not the smell you would think it is. It's not the decomposing smell that everybody would smell. It was a super chemically smell that everybody smelled. You didn't smell the decomposition smell that the neighbor was, complaining about. And she said that's one of the main things that people got wrong. But also the other main thing that people got wrong is that neighbor, who is portrayed in all 10 episodes, mind you. So hope you like her, because she's in there the whole time. She didn't even live in that building. She lived in an adjacent building, and she gets her own storyline throughout this whole thing. But I was just like, and that's where I just started going. I was like, and that was part of the thing. I was like, oh, the smell. I was like, you didn't smell that. Stop. I was like, that didn't happen. And that's part of my issue with most stuff. It's like, that did not happen. Why are you doing this?
But that super chemically smell too. It's that smell of acid boiling down flesh.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what
Oh
it
no.
is.
I realize that, but my understanding it was not like the decomp smell. I think that everybody to an extent kind of knows what that smells like a little.
Well, there's a few different smells of death.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's not only just the decomposition. There's a lot of there's different smells of death.
Well,
But that's why I say you still refer to it. Oh, it just smells like death.
right. Well, and ultimately that's what it was, but it wasn't. She's like, in the article, she's like, I know what that smell is. It was not that smell.
See, like my questions would be too. How many times did the police get called to Dahmer's apartment to investigate the smell?
Right.
That's one. We don't know. He got away with this for how long because no one called the police on him, and it's a definite possibility. I mean, we watched that first episode, and I was talking to Adam, and Shauna and I talked about it too. It's like, me being a cop, and like I've been doing this almost 26 years now, so complacency is like terrible for us. That's the worst thing that can happen to us, and we all do it. We all get it, and like I talked about, when you see a guy with one handcuff on, running down the street, it's like I would immediately think, where
half naked, yeah,
where did he come from? Who had him in custody? And are the cops okay? Because honestly, that's to me what flags. That to me is like red flags that like he just escaped police custody somewhere.
So this would be, when you say police, talk about it like this. It's called the Dahmer Files, or maybe it's Serial Killer Files, but it was under the Dahmer Files under this show, and that was on Netflix in 2013. And the police officer, he's like, I almost loosely says this, like I had to be his friend, or we had this relationship because I was the one who had to go interrogate him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he says, this is what happened. I walk into the room and I tell him, is there anything that you want to tell me about what's going on in there? And he's quiet, or he says something or whatever. The next thing he says is, there is a search warrant for your apartment. So anything you want to tell me will help you. And he's saying, like, to me right now, it's like police work, right? And this was
there. You're talking. What you're saying there is completely different. What the show.
This is from the cop's mouth to Netflix to my ears, 2013. Okay. And then this is Dahmer's reaction to the cop. Like, he looks at him and goes, oh, I'm caught. You got me. Man. Like, fuck, I got caught. That's how he described it.
Well,
now my question though too is this the cop that found the guy that escaped, or is this a detective that was talking to Dahmer?
This is a detective. And then Then he said, the detective says something to the effect of, well, then, I guess if you're the one I'm telling, this is going to be big or whatever.
Because
they also interviewed that woman from the movie that you're talking about, too.
Yeah, the neighbor.
Show. Yeah, the neighbor. She ate his food. He cooked for her.
Oh, so she was probably eating
people.
Yeah, who knows?
Eating people, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's part of my issue with the Netflix, the one with what's his name, not the documentary, but the docuseries, where the amount of liberties taken in this show are so, like, it got to the point where I'm like, I can't watch this. Like, I'm sitting there I'm trying to watch it with my wife because she's into it. I'm like, you can't do that.
What do you mean? Like, who can't do that?
So example. So it does not treat the police friendly in this one, where one of the victims was a low-Asian teenager. And so they have a storyline for the last few episodes where the father keeps getting these phone calls being harassed, getting these racist harassing things. And they imply strongly, if not basically point the finger, that it's the cops calling and race, being racist to the father. And I'm just like, you can't do that. Not in a docudrama, because dumbasses who don't know to think any harder or to look into anything are going to think that happened.
Yes.
And unless you have proof that happened, you can't say stuff like that. You can't make that implication.
Correct.
And it's stuff like that. I'm like I was like, you can't say stuff like that. You simply can't do that because there are dumbasses who are going to go, Jay, you guys don't need your job made any harder, especially with racial relations in this country, and just be like, oh yeah, all cops, especially those cops, are racist.
But welcome to my world. That's what they do.
Like,
it's people believe everything.
Whoa, hey. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Stop yelling.
Well, where the fuck am I?
I don't know, but
lost internet. Lost internet.
Okay,
internet
well,
connection lost.
We hear you, so we're
I thought you kicked me out, man.
Well, keep it up, and I will.
Oh, I'm like, why did I get booted? All right, I'm gonna boot myself. I'll be right back.
All right. He's way to just freak everybody out, but anyway.
Hey, I was freaking out here. That's it. I'm taking the kids, Nick, and I'm going to my sister's.
Oh, good. So anyway, oh hey.
Yeah. Ooh, I moved up in the world.
He said, "Yeah, we'll keep you on the top row." But it was just there was a couple other things that that Adam threw me off, but it's just totally like, Jay, where shows like that, like they can't. There's certain things where I'm just like, you can't say stuff like that, and also with the neighbor, and the neighbor's literally in every single episode. And there he is.
I know what that.
Oh, okay.
You got to think about it too, though. I mean, how many of these things are gonna? Yeah, if they movies got to put their drama into everything too. I mean, that's what sells tickets. That's what makes people watch. But that's why I say they'll do stuff like that to make the give it more drama effect. Make it
juice up the story
more
a little
exciting.
Bit.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. So this story didn't need any of that. It really didn't, because it was so ridiculous. Like everything that he did was so like completely off the charts.
From fucking horrible.
Well, that's why it gets to. I'm like, when the details started coming out, be like, oh my god, like who even thinks to do stuff like that? I'm just like, oh, like, are you okay down there?
Yeah. I don't know. The shot doesn't look so good, I guess. I don't know. It's bugging me. It's like I can't fix the framing.
I took your spot up top, so.
Look at that.
No.
So we had to kick you back down. It's part of the frame for the show.
It's just the thing. Okay, cool. I thought I was having technical difficulties. I'm like, what is wrong with this camera? I'm so sending a nasty letter to Logitech.
Right. But
Logitech.
But yeah, because I was telling,
we love you, Logitech. Sponsor the show.
Shut up. Because Jay, I know there was a big case. I forget how long. It probably had to be about a decade ago, but because I used to work with a school district and we used to work with the sheriff at the time, and you know who I'm talking about. And now he's in politics, but he told us like how they captured the husband in this murder, because the husband basically cut up his wife and put him in this forest, and then
he didn't put all of her there,
right, pieces, but they went into the media and said, hey, we're going to start searching such and such, and then they set up surveillance to what happened, but they set up surveillance to catch him going to get the parts that were in there, and that's how they ultimately ended up catching the guy. I was like, see, stuff like that, I'm like, that needs no juice. That needs no like amping up. I was like, everything in that story absolutely fascinates me.
Yeah. We didn't do very good surveillance, though.
But you got the guy.
We let him get way up north.
But you got the guy. You didn't let him do it again.
Yeah.
It really intrigues me, and I don't want this to get into Oh, I know what I wanted to say because especially back talking about getting back to the Dahmer series. So, one of the big issues with the police back then was also the time it took place, which was the late '80s, early '90s, and so part of the issue was that they were like, well, it's just the gay community, so we don't really care. Most of the victims were gay and black, so well, you know what? We don't really care about that community anyway, so you know you're doing this terrible thing anyway, so you get what you get. And I'm like,
I don't think that's what happened.
no, but that's the portrayal. That's the and that's kind of what the portrayal of the Milwaukee police has been. And Jay, I'm sure you've worked with lots of different guys from all over the place. And there's certain points where you're like, oh, you're from this area. It's not just police where you're like, Adam, anytime you hear from someone coming from, this department or this company, you're like, oh, not that one. Like,
right.
So,
I mean, you see the police departments. We all get the same training. We're all the same.
right.
It's the areas you work. That's what kind of makes those police departments into the names they get. And it's not that they do that. It's just that's how people feel that way because that's the majority of what you deal with in that area. If you're,
Sure.
Depending on the area you're in, that's the majority of the complaints. And we always get to see people at their worst. I mean, no matter, I don't care what race, sexual orientation, whatever they are. Age, we always see people at their worst. It's bound to happen no matter where you're at. And so that's
usually when you're interacting with those people, it's probably the worst day of their life.
Oh yeah, always. I mean, it's not often that we, see people in good lights,
Right. And vice versa. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we are human. We have bad days too. We have good days and bad days too.
Right. So, but
it's so funny. I can tell you right now, I was mad at working overtime. I took it.
Sure.
I volunteered for the overtime, but it's like, oh God, I'm not in the right mind frame to do this today. It's just one of those days. I hate everybody. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. I hope I don't get any calls.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, when it comes to and like I said, I switched to watching far more documentaries because of the historical inaccuracies. And I think this is one of those series that really, really takes the liberties and really stretches them as far as they can to the point where I'm like, you can't like just damn man, like you really can't do that stuff, especially in today's climate. I was like, that's just not fair.
Sometimes I think it takes away from actual things like that.
Oh, it does.
It's like
it 100% does. Like I said, it's a minimum of 2 to 3 episodes too long, and let's be honest. In the news, families from the victims are coming out and saying basically like because of the way the story's told, it's basically re-traumatizing these families. And I'm just
I believe it.
Why? I was like, why? Like, why would you even go there?
So Jeremy Johns goes on record. I understand that complaint because Jeremy Johns reviewed the whole series, and he says you get to a certain point where one episode is about one particular victim. Then that victim, as much as you like him, doesn't make it. And then the next issue or the next episode is about a particular victim.
Yep.
And as much as you like that victim doesn't make it. And that then now throw in, Freak of the Week and like the old, TV. That's how they did that. And it's not very clever if you break it down to Freak of the Week, right? It's not very clever storytelling. So I see why it traumatizes because you're taking. So this week, our hero, or in this case, our killer, our hero is going to battle this guy. And in this case, this human being that once actually lived. You're going to tell their story.
Well,
you're going to root for them, and then they're going to die. And their
that's,
loved ones watch it, and they're kind of like, yeah, that was.
Yes, because, and Adam, and that's the other thing. It pulls on that stuff so damn hard where they have, I apologize, I don't remember the victim's name, but like deaf kid, good looking kid. He was a model, just made him super happy go lucky, loved his family. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, I was like, wait a second, this guy's gonna die in 20 minutes. It's just like damn,
Right.
like and like I said, oh, here's next episode. Oh yeah, we're gonna do that again. We're gonna really build up this character, make you like him a lot. And just so you know, this monster, he's gonna go into the the monster's cave, and he's not coming out.
Except it's real.
Except
I mean, they're
except
actors, but it's
it
real.
freaking happened.
It really.
You know what? And how can you expect family to be nothing but like traumatized by this? Because they just spent the last 20 some years trying to get rid of the images of what they thought that their loved ones last minutes on Earth might be like, and now they get to relive it and it's told by somebody who's trying to make it even more dramatic for everybody.
Well, and then you got all the assholes who are going to go on social media and doing this and that, and then there's people going after Kesha and Katy Perry who are like, you had Jeremy Dahmer lyrics in your song, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, you're the one who
Jesus.
didn't know the monster that this guy was. I was like, that's on you. Like, and like I said, we grew up, we were, I was 10 when the news broke, but it was a couple years before you started getting the details, and you're just like, oh my god. But like, yeah, like when people mention these Dahmer, Gacy, Bundy, all these guys just very flippantly, and especially in like shows like American Horror Story, I was like, these were literal human monsters, and you're trying to make them cool in a TV show.
No.
Not okay.
I agree.
There's a theory. Never mind.
Not going there, but it's so
it's about leaded gas.
okay.
All right.
But I'm gonna give this. I can't recommend this because, like I said, it's basically just there to exploit the families, and try to make Dahmer, who was something that he wasn't. He was a monster. Leave it there. Like, go watch the documentary. It'll actually tell you what type of person he was. He wasn't like a misunderstood, oh, hey, like, no, he was a freaking monster doing things that no one had even conceived of.
Yeah, I mean, they're the things nightmares are made of. It's the shit that Mary Shelley wrote about in Frankenstein,
Well,
which was some of his fucking. And Night of the Living Dead was his info. He wanted to create a sex zombie.
well, that's it. I'm just like, when you start going like, what do
He
you think?
did.
You're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't even, like, for most people, that didn't even compute. Like, that
So-
was the level of evil that this person did.
So you watched all of it.
Yep. Well, most
did-
like 80%.
Okay, so did they show him like sleeping with mannequins?
There was a
The look on your
obviously-
face says no.
No, but there's a lot of weird stuff. There
He
was a
would-
lot of weird stuff because, and that's part of it too, where the dad it shows the dad sort of trying to, intervene, being like, yeah, my kid's not normal.
Right.
That's the one I look at like most watching that first episode. It's like, holy Christ, how the hell you be a parent in that one? It's like,
yeah, and not to say, and I apologize, I shouldn't say that they try and build Dahmer up to be something, but like, it's one of those where no one comes out of the show clean. The parents don't come out clean. The families don't come out clean. It's for me, it's kind of like, why the hell did you even choose to go this path with this show? I really don't. I don't agree with it, and especially you draw it out for 10 episodes, and then
to
like
be
I said,
honest, I think they've seen the success that the Ted Bundy one got.
Yeah.
With Zac Efron playing him.
well, and
I think they've seen the success that got, and they're trying to jump on that kind of bandwagon.
Right or
And-
wrong, there's a niche for this stuff, though.
well, there is, and there's especially with podcasts nowadays, true crime podcast. My wife and I, we like the show. Was it the detective show where they do the the murder scene stuff? Yeah, I mean, we watch that stuff. But
CIS.
it's the it's the real show where they deal with like real crimes.
Oh,
Cold case?
not cold case, but the forensic
48 hours. Forensic files.
forensic
Okay.
files. So,
So,
and that show's got like 20.
Bad I can't watch police dramas.
Yeah, that's probably the last thing you want to deal with. But it's one of those. Yeah, there's like 20. There's like 20 seasons, like 20 episodes each. So I mean, obviously there's been a market for this for a long time, but just the glorizing, giving a little bit of glory to him, and then just basically re-traumatizing the families. It's like, what the
I
hell?
feel bad for Shawnette because she can't sit through those with me because I'm like, that doesn't happen. Nope, that doesn't work like that. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's how. Well, I would say that's what I figured you do. I do this because I'm sitting there trying to think, talk about how I would talk about for the show, and my wife's, you just shut up and watch a show, and I'm like,
Right.
sorry, shutting it off. Okay.
No, I can't do it.
No, I say, yeah, for you, it's like now bullshit, and I started, and that's the point where I got to with the show. I was like, that's bullshit. You can't do that. That's bullshit.
Oh, oh my God, Jeremy Renner did a series, The Mayor of, I can't remember the name of it. It was whatever it was on, and it's so funny because they're literally they're actually kind of making it about Jackson. It's kind of about Jackson because I think there's at least three prisons like real close together in Jackson,
Right.
Michigan. But they make their own town of it, and they use like one of the big prisons. It's a prison in Canada because it's a real cool looking old prison. It's on the coast of Lake Erie, and oh my God, it's just the way they do all this thing. The police and like they're private detectives that work for the inmates, basically. If the inmates have a problem in prison, they come to these guys, and these guys are all friends with the police, and they make shit happen, and they get them stuff inside the prison. These two, Jeremy Renner and his brother are like these two guys that just keep the peace in all the prisons. It's like, this is fucking retarded. Nothing ever like this will ever happen in a million fucking years. But we're gonna make a show about this.
Well, it's like the She-Hulk show saying, we don't know anyone who knows anything about lawyer. We don't know anything about superheroes, and we don't know anything about lawyers. But guess what? We made a show about. It's like,
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Fantastic. What could go wrong?
Ugh.
But all right, let's move on. So
wait, I have a question.
All right.
Is it okay, since we're talking about something so serious here,
Okay.
if we segue on a John Mulaney joke?
Go ahead.
So John Mulaney says, I was sitting around watching Cold Case Files, and Cold Case Files is one of my favorite shows. And he says, why? And then he says, but then it got me to thinking, what did they do back in the time before they had DNA and forensic? Could you imagine? Detective, we found a pool of the killer's blood right out in the hallway. Gross. Mop it up. Now, back to my hunch. Look for clues. There you go. And that's the world without DNA.
Okay, you said, I know you're telling a joke there, but speaking of, if you haven't seen it yet too, the one that's really cool is, oh God, what the hell's the name of it? It's, I think it's on Amazon Prime, but it's basically Jack the Ripper. It's, oh God, what the hell was his name?
Holmes?
Yeah,
Holmes,
that's
Holmes?
it. Yeah.
I think he was.
Is it JB Holmes? Yeah, they think he made his way.
They
over
think he
to
was
America.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
he was.
Yeah, he had the murder house in Chicago.
Yeah, it was a hotel, and that's what the seventh season or whatever hotel was about loosely made about in American Horror Story.
No, that was a different one. That was the Cicero Hotel? That was
the Cecil Hotel.
The Cecil Hotel, yeah.
I'm sorry, then was it Murder House that was because you could hide
because we watched a documentary about that hotel.
No, I know all about the Cecil. I just screwed it up. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about the Cecil and its evilness.
That's it. Was it a show or documentary? Because they did have
that was a documentary.
And it was kind of one of those things where like it was like weird shit happened, but also like
it's in the middle of Skid Row.
yeah, I say it's where all the drugs and stuff happen. So it's like, well, yeah, crazy shit's gonna happen where all the drugs and the mental people go. So
It's just strange that that girl found herself in the water tank.
yeah, that's weird too. But also, I you have those nights where you're really drunk, you don't know how you got there, and be like, I can see how that totally could happen in a hotel where you're like, you do enough weird shit. You're like, yeah, I can see how.
She had real bad mental health issues and was off of all of her medications. They said,
Yeah, because they tried, that was the focal point. They tried to make it into this big thing, and it turns out like she was on drugs and had mental issues. Be like, yeah, I can totally see how she'd end up on the roof of this creepy ass hotel and end up in a water tank.
Also, it wasn't advertised as the spooky old Cecil Hotel. What happened is they subsidized all the upper floors, government subsidized, and then people came in and they bought like the. If you walk in, you walk off of Skid Row, and then you walk in, you think you just walked into heaven. Like it's gorgeous there, but it's called the Stay on Main. So she went to the famous Stay on Main, and that's how it was advertised.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's very well advertised, and then you get there like, oh shit. Like, oh no.
Isn't it H.H. Holmes or something like that?
Was it H.H.? Yeah, that's probably
HB or something like that. Chicago, I think he did it
Yeah.
at.
Well, that's where he did the American, but they were linking a trip to Europe. He was gone for some time, and like any of the victims they found here, it was the same thing over there because they knew he was some kind of medical, or they thought he was some kind of medical field. Yeah. And because the way he gut them and, with the precision he do it with and shit like that.
It's crazy.
So, all right. So we were going to talk, want to talk a little bit about Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, but we'll save that for another show. Let's get into some toys and comic stuff. So Adam, you got some new stuff. You were showing off your Asbat. Why don't you grab that real quick?
The Asbat?
Yeah.
Well, no, he's not new. I was just showing him to you.
Yeah, but I like
it. All right. I also have a couple pictures of what was done.
Yeah, your PowerPoint. That's right.
What was done with the do you got pictures of what you did with your display?
Which one?
Who, me?
No. So the Batman animated series display. Did you take some pictures for the show? I took some pictures of mine. So
I did not yet. I haven't done anything special with it.
Well, you asked for it. Here's the Asbats DC Direct Nightfall series. I don't remember what year it came out in. It is got limited articulation. It is a 6-inch scale. Arms and elbow, just a single elbow joints, single knee joints. So the McFarlane version is definitely superior to it in terms of articulation, but I feel that as an aesthetic and paint, that this is superior to the McFarlanes. It's just got the right tone.
Very nice. You got your PowerPoint ready?
I do. I wasn't expecting to show off this guy, but you made me. No.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. So whoops, that's too much. So this is just the Three Jokers Batman real quick. I just wanted to show like a picture of kind of him set up with the lightning going off in the dark. With the Batman the Animated Series gold label diorama stand. So I haven't taken the figure of that out yet, but I placed this on him, and then this is what he looks like looking up at it during the daytime. See, we got some other people. Man Bat, Elvira here. That's actually Jenna Jameson's body. And
you gotta share it for us.
Huh?
You gotta share it.
Share what? Of course, right.
Because we can't see what you're talking about.
Technical difficulties here. Put up that Simpsons guy with the bottle. I wonder how bad you guys were laughing at my ass when I couldn't see your faces. I understand.
I was like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So
no idea what you're talking about. So yeah. All right, here we go. Entire screen, and we are sharing. You see my screen?
There we go.
Okay, so there he is in the dark with the lightning going on here. We'll hit this. And then we go look up, and that's actually Jenna Jameson's body here.
I
The
just said-
Elvira book. Well, Elvira came with 2 different heads, and I had to head. And these bucks here are 7 to 7.5 inch bucks for their body. So I just popped off Jenna's head and put this on. I think that's permanent. Pretty sure it's permanent. Got the crow, but then if you look up there, you got the 3 Jokers Batman. I've got a cloth good capes underneath his plastic cape. But if this is the moment we've all been waiting for, if we're here to talk about some He-Man, are we ready for He-Man,
Let's
folks?
go He-Man.
All right. One moment here. We're going to end this show. All right, kids. So right here, as we say, 40 years ago, Mattel created Masters of the Universe, a world of space and sorcery, of fantasy and technology, and of He-Man, the hero who inspired children to discover the power within themselves. So back then in the early 80s, you might have got a little something like this waiting for you under the tree. This is the retro play He-Man. He's got the face of He-Man. The buck looks pretty close, except the articulation is better. We're not here to see this He-Man. I'm just trying to show you what the difference is in the buck of what we're going to get with the Mattel Masterverse 40th anniversary He-Man. You guys have seen the Masterverse bucks. They are in scale with McFarlane Toys, so it's really cool to know that. And here we go. So this is the 40th anniversary Masterverse He-Man 7-inch scale. You can see here we got the little sticker for the power. This is the reverse side of the card. Down here is where I read from. Actually, Jay, remind me later. I gotta ask you about something. I was wondering if you'd be interested in a project with this card art. But once we move forward here, we can take a look at how he compares in size to the other He-Mans that have been released through the Masterverse. This is the Revelations He-Man, and you can see this is the new Eternia Viking He-Man with the head without the helmet buck. So it's just this head sculpt, I should say. But you can see that they made the chest way wider for the 40th anniversary, which I agree with. I think he should have been a lot bulkier. So we look, here's my custom half Origins, half Masterverse Prince Adam. So this is basically the half of a Origins, retro play buck with what's it we call it? Savage He-Man legs. And he's going by the power of Grayskull to turn into this hot fella here, He-Man. Most powerful man in the universe. Here's what this looks like in and out of the package for the original, and here's what they look like together. So this is kind of where we've come from here. That is our presentation, folks.
Very nice.
That is the
Cool.
40th anniversary He-Man.
So, all right, and I'll show what I've been working on the last few days. So, this is, 3 Jokers Batman for Adam. So I made him, gave him the blue look there, and plus that's Hush. That started out as platinum. I started working on that, but try to bring out some of the definition of some of the muscles and all that by dry brushing. Just trying to show off some definition from the toy, and yeah, pretty happy with how these turned out. Really happy with how the head on Hush turned out, and gonna try and lighten up the jacket just a little bit, but yeah, really happy how that turned out. So.
Cool.
Looking very good. Very good.
So do you want that Hush back now, or?
I don't want him back. No, man. Here's the thing: is I scheduled him to be returned last August, and I looked at him in my trunk every day, and I could just never bring myself to it. And I knew that if I did worst case scenario, I didn't show up at the UPS store, it would just not refund me. So it stayed there, and I was like, Saturday, Jason, I went to Nick's house, and I said, "You're going to do me a favor. And I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do with it. Take this figure. Either paint it and keep it or throw it away." So it's all yours, Nick.
Yeah, I thought about maybe trying the monochrome thing with it, but I was like, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, happy with how it's turning out. So, all right, Adam, let's get into what we're reading. You reading anything lately?
Actually, yeah, I started to read some old Superman comics, and I really couldn't get through it. So, now Maxima though is involved in it. It's called the Triangle series. It starts in like the 90s through the death of Superman all the way to like 2011, whenever the New 52 started. So yeah, I started reading Superman that far back.
Very nice. So I don't know if
Yeah,
I talked about this issue of Batman. It's Batman 127. It's the third issue of the Chip Zdarsky Jorge Jimenez run. This one gets into the whole during our Batman battling failsafe. Knocked over the bottle. So I love Jorge Jimenez's art in this, and it's really one of the things that I think that's really underrated is how much of a mental, all the mental things that go into being Batman, and this really dives. Chip Zdarsky really does a great job in doing the whole mental thing, just what he's thinking, and basically how they try and bring him back from being Zurin R. Basically, how he goes from being full Batman to be like, hey man, like no, we need you to come back just a little bit. We need you to just be the Batman, and basically they realize toward the end there that they can't defeat failsafe on their own, so they got to bring in where's that panel? Like that one. But they got to bring out the big guns, and this is the last panel of Batman 127. So bringing in the big boys to take out failsafe.
So what's it like to read a book with Zorinar?
That's why I was trying to describe like how it's very much in Batman's head and just how that is. So and that's one of the things where Robin and Nightwing are kind of trying to bring him back because they're like, oh, this is something we're not used to dealing with, because I'll show you one panel, like this panel right here, where he's nope, sorry, where he grabs Tim's arm and he's like, why are you hurting me? He's like, because I'm trying to save you. He's like, at any cost. He's like, no, we don't need you hurting me to save me. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's fun. It's a good read. I'm very, very happy with that run right now. So
I have a Zorinar buck if you need it. I got the head too. You think?
I say that's kind of I've been shopping for figures to make a custom Zeranar from this book, and but also one other books. Well, actually, I got a couple of a lot of. I do a lot of DC heavy stuff anyway, but Flashpoint Beyond. This is issue 5 of 6, so we're close to wrapping this up, and so into this world now we've got they're introducing Ra's al Ghul.
No, I hit my lights out. Sorry about that.
Did we lose power? We lost battery power.
There we go.
So we do have Martha.
Oh shit! Is that Martha Wayne Joker?
That is Martha Wayne.
Ooh.
So we're getting to the very end of the Flashpoint Beyond run, and it's a lot. Oh, this is another one. I don't have it. But another kind of offbeat comic that I'm really enjoying is Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain, and this deals with it is not a superhero book per se, but it's much more based in the real world, where it deals with a son whose dad is basically like Stan Lee, but he doesn't get the credit for it. Wait, was the creator of Superman who didn't get the credit for years?
Oh, Batman. That'd be Bill Finger.
Yeah, Bill Finger. So it's kind of a takeoff the Bill Finger, where the guy's son, it's kind of takes things from today, where like this comic book character is a huge deal. He's got movies, he's got this. He gets no credit for it. He's just the artist, but he created it. Very much like Bill Finger. And then it turns out that there's this contract floating around from back in the day where it gives him equal rights. And now you get into like the legal part of him having to actually fight lawyers and all this stuff. It's really interesting. I'm enjoying it, but it's not your average comic book, but it's very entertaining if you kind of know anything about the Bill Finger history of his history with Batman.
Yeah, that's
it's fun. It's different.
Yeah, I've got my feelings and opinions on that. If you want to let me know, I'll tell you what they are. But
what do you think, Adam?
What about it I don't blame Bob Kane at first, but after the 66 Batman show, I mean, okay, maybe after 66 Batman because it was such a flash in the pan, he didn't wake up, but it's almost unforgivable after like 89 that he didn't say, okay, listen, we need to rectify something and take care of, Bill's family. Because, yeah, he died. I don't know if he's got a marked grave now, but he's got an unmarked grave. And his son was a gay man. But it's funny, the guy who did the documentary was interviewed on Fat Man Beyond when it was still Fat Man Beyond. Or it wasn't Fat Man on Batman. And he said, so I thought basically I hit a cold spot because his son was dead and he was gay, so I didn't think there'd be any heirs. He goes, but then I found out there were some heirs. So apparently, gay people can have kids. He jokingly said it. He said it like I was so naive at the time that I just gave up. Like, oh, okay, I guess I'm fucked now. But then he found out, no, why don't you, somebody said, well, why don't you just talk to Bill's granddaughter? And that's what he said. He goes, well, Bill's son was gay. Yeah. They just looked at him blankly, and he's like, as if people can't have children,
or don't realize it till later in life or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So that's a funny little anecdote. And 2016 was the first time that Bill Finger received any credit for Batman. He was Batman created by Bill Finger or by Bob Kane and Bill Finger on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
All right, Jay, you reading anything?
Just I'm on like issue. I just got done with like issue 107 of Spawn.
Okay.
I'm kind of reading everything. I've only read the first 80 issues, so I've never gotten into the.
Is that all?
100. Yeah, that's all I got on. That's all I got on papers. The first 80 issues of Spawn. So
you only got like 200 to catch up on.
Yeah, just a few, right? So, no, I've been reading that. I've been trying to keep up on the Scorched and King Spawn, and
it's hard to keep up on. I'm doing the same thing. It's hard to keep up on. I'm like, where did I leave off? I was like, did I read this one? So you start reading that, be like, I already read this one, and
and then I got Patrick's been into Berserk, and Ireland got him the first 2 or 3 books.
Yeah.
So I want to read those too. So Berserk's we watched the anime on Netflix.
I say, is that based off the anime or the manga based off the anime? But yeah,
manga. Yeah. It's the animes on Netflix were awesome actually. So
I thought they were great, and then it got to the end, and I'm like, this is what's wrong. This is why anime, like every time I'm like, what the hell, Adam? We were talking about
it got freaky as shit.
You're like, what the hell, Japan? Like what?
What the? There's a.
Where the demons raping the girl, and I'm like, where did this come from? Boy,
oh God, that. If you think the anime's bad, the books are worse because that's where it starts.
Well, that's where I go. And that's why I don't go there because I'm like, it was cool. Like, all right, not the end part, but like the story was super cool and intense and all this, and then to get to that point, I'm like, what the hell?
You gotta get through that stuff to get to Guts' when Guts gets the armor.
Oh yeah,
because they don't even show that in the anime. His armor is wicked as hell.
Well, I bet. But I was watching. We went down to go see some family with the grandkids, and they went shopping. I'm like, well, I'll stay here, and that's where I was watching. And I'm like, I just happened to turn it off just before that. I'm like, you know what? This might get weird, and I don't need my wife like busting in and be like, "What do you watch?" And I'm like, so I turned it off. I'm like, oh, thank God I shut that off because it was just before that part. I was like, imagine like family walking in and you're watching that, and you're like, I'm okay. I'm not. I don't have a problem. Fine. This is it just happens. You know, it just happened. I didn't do anything, but yeah, I was like, it's totally like, this is why Japan. This is why like I can't 100% go into manga because it's awesome and cool,
Yeah.
and then it just goes sideways, and I just go, what the hell was that?
And it comes back. They're only short bursts, at least. But
they're pretty intense bursts.
yeah. King Grimlock was actually a really good series. Now I'm going to get really way
we're good.
far out of
Please
things.
do.
Because like Transformers, Shattered Glass is a really cool series. They just came out with a Shattered Glass 2 series. King Grimlock, it's basically Planet Hulk with Grimlock. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, because IDW does a lot of they don't do a lot of great stuff. They do a lot of good stuff with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Ninja Turtles. They do a pretty solid job with those.
Yeah, I like them. So, but yeah, it's kind of it. I'm all over the place.
Best way to be. So, all right. Well, I think
no, we're not done.
All right.
We're not done.
I got to be done. I got to get ready for work.
Thanks,
okay,
Jay.
well, that's okay, Jay. No problem. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it all the time.
All right, we'll see you.
Fun.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks. Have a good
one.
All
right. Later, brother.
Right,
bye.
All right, what'd you find?
Fuck me, man. I went to Instagram. That's right. I said it right here on live. I said the F word.
He's on
right
the gram.
Live.
Oh, I thought it was gram.
All right, I'm going to share my page. La, la, la. La, la, la. La, la. All right, this just dropped for Sideshow. You see?
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Is that Kratos?
Yes.
Yeah, I never played God of War, but I hear good things.
I played the very, very first one for PlayStation 2.
Nice crotch shot.
Right
down there.
Okay, so that's what Sideshow has to offer. You ready for NECA's horror? I think this is.
Oh, son of a shit! Shit.
This is NECA, isn't that?
That's Casey Jones as Phantom of the Opera. You bastards.
Yeah.
Everybody wondered what it was going to be. Everybody wondered. You bastards. Damn you, NECA.
You got it, and then I got it too. Look, Roboto, Frosta.
Yeah, they're coming. They're dropping so much shit for Comic-Con.
It's Stratos and Roboto.
Yeah, I love Stratos.
You see these two swords, how they're so hot, remember from the movie?
Yep.
I have the cool versions with King Grayskull. I have them. And look, we get another Frosta. She-Ra shows up at my house tomorrow. Evil Lyn, all sorceressed out. Stratos, I loved Stratos as a kid. I don't know why. There was something to me as a child that was just attracted to the way Stratos looked as like a hero. He was the coolest of the Masters of the Universe, just aside from He-Man, of course.
Right. Hey, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. So, shit! And then, okay. So, we're just going to take a look here at the old Instagrams, folks, while we're still sharing. So here's a deeper look at Frosta. She's one of the rebel alliances against the evil Hordak to free the planet Etheria. This is, of course, Stratos. He is of the flying people. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. From Eternia. So he's one of the Masters of the Universe. And this weapon that he's coming with has to do with aviation. So this is a treat. This being included with it has to do with aviation and his people. I don't think Stratos' people can fly without this item in their kingdom. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Stratos is kind of like something of a king, like Randor is. Of course, we get Roboto, which was pretty genius in Revelations when they downloaded, like he was supposed to be the son of Man at Arms. I liked that. Man at Arms created him from the ground up. He did create him from the ground up too in the original show. And then this is just freaking way too gothy for me not to own, even if I didn't care if she was sorceress or not. But this is sweet. The headdress and everything. Now, folks, Nick is back. And I'm glad to see that you're back here, Nick. Whee! So I'm going to keep sharing my screen here. J. Scott Campbell has done some art, and we do know that he does a very good job with female characters.
Is that
He's
based
done
on
some
J.
art.
Scott Campbell's art?
No, not this, but J. Scott Campbell down here. I follow him on Instagram. He's posted his rendition of Dazzler, my favorite look for the mutants, for a mutant girl.
Yeah, J. Scott Campbell, any female is the look. Any female he draws.
He's at the New York Comic Con this weekend. We should go.
Hey, I got nothing going on. Oh, wait.
But yeah, I bought this. This is one of the coolest action figures too. She comes with skates, and I mean, this is to me how I'm a fan of Dazzler. She's never been really an official X-Men, but pretty cool.
Yeah,
I once saw somebody do a Photoshop of Taylor Swift as Dazzler, and I was like, yes. All right, so you've got Spirit Halloween, and then one of my favorite comedians. So that's it on the Instagrams, kids.
Yeah, let's here, I'm gonna take over for a second here.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
All right. So Adam, one of the things that was announced that Hasbro did, I forget for the thing, but they announced a bunch of stuff. And one of the things was Hasbro reveals new Indiana Jones action figures. Are you interested in these?
I found out that no, I'm not, but I found out that when I really wanted these figures as a kid, I was told they didn't exist. I got a feeling I wasn't taken to Toys R Us enough. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not interested in them. I think they're cool for people who are diehard Indiana Jones kids. Like my mom was right, at the time. Now the Ark of the Covenant, that's fucking cool.
I say that whole setup is really cool.
That whole setup is cool. But like my mom was right. It would have just been a flash in the pan for me, and I would have been back playing He-Man or back playing Ghostbusters at the time or Ninja Turtles. I wouldn't have kept going with this. But they look better than anything that would have came out back in the day. That Ark of the Covenant, I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'd like to put that in my back cave.
I'd say that's about the only thing Hasbro came out with where I was like, yeah, I haven't seen that 1,000 times, so that's kind of cool.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Are they now? My mind's slowly changing because I saw these figures and I thought that they were the 5 3/4 scale, but these are Marvel Legends bucks. Look at the bodies. They got the thigh swivels. They got the knee swivels. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested if I still did 6-inch.
But does he come with the hanger for his jacket? That's what I need.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they look cool. I can't wait to see them. I do have my eyes on that Ark of the Covenant now. I will buy it for that, just to get that in my collection.
Well, that's because NECA came out with it's got the Universal Monster stuff. Like, I just want that sarcophagus that comes with the mummy, because that thing's pretty badass.
Well, dude, you got to get that so that you can have it for
Mikey.
Tell you the truth, really, you could get all of those setups for all of those guys because I want to get them too.
That's the problem because they're selling them separate. I was like, sons of bitches.
Yeah, well, it's kind of because I want to get Frankenstein's for sure, and I want to get Dracula's for sure. I want to get the mummies too. God forbid they ever make Freddy's.
Dude, they have Freddy's.
What do you mean they have Freddy's?
NECA has Freddy's.
No, they don't have a display set up for them, do they?
I don't think it's display, but yeah, they've got. I know. Because you know they've got Freddy's.
I know they got Freddy's because I want to buy the Freddy 3 one. I should.
Right. Yeah, because you were eyeing it up, but you decided against it.
It's not that I have a Freddy Krueger action figure from the first movie. But he just doesn't come with the goodies that the one with 3 comes with.
Right.
And then here's the thing too. The figure for number 2 is a nice figure too. So it's tough. NECA does.
Well, NECA doesn't do anything badly or
Right.
poorly or half-assed. You may not agree with certain aspects of whatever, but as far as when it comes to like those turtle figures, those last run figures are freaking badass. And honestly, like I don't know how many I'm gonna buy because it's just gonna be I'll be so damn excited if I see any in the wild. That's for sure. But,
yeah. Now we can end the show.
Yeah. Say now it's time.
Now you have my permission to die.
Okay. So
Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Give me a second.
When are we going to sit down and watch all 3 Nolan trilogy movies?
Oh, well, we'll need at least a weekend for that. So
we'll need a 4-day weekend for that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to set that up. But anyway,
I'll need time to relax from relaxing.
You might wind down time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot because Adam wants to quit a shop and just do YouTube and action figures for professionally. So that'll help.
Actually,
with that.
I just want to hang out with you guys all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're starting to crack the code here.
Well,
more like
YouTube's a fickle bitch, so we'll figure it out.
Sure. I'm just figuring. Yeah.
But if you want to see what we're talking about, what we might be talking about on the show, go to our Facebook and Instagram, The Escape with Nick and Adam. And if you want to download the podcast and take it with you, we are on all the major platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and Google Podcasts. So go check us out. And on that, Adam, you have any final words for us?
Anybody see a flying asshole around here? Ooh. No.
Good night, America.
Good night.